We're not panicking.
All right. Hello there, I'm Doug Willardson, Town Administrator of Webster, and I'm here with Marlena Patton from Peregrine Energy, and we're here to talk to you about the Webster PowerUp program. So the Webster PowerUp program is a municipal aggregation program where essentially we take the electricity load of the town and we bid it out, and hopefully we get a better price than the current basic rate with National Grid. Is that correct, basically?
Yep, that's it in a nutshell.
Yep, so in June 2017, we passed at our town meeting an article that allows us to do that. So we're moving forward, and it takes a little while to get all the regulations done through DPU, but that's been completed, and now we're ready for the launch. So we have Marlena here, and she's going to explain some of the details for us so we can understand what the program's doing. So with that, can you kind of just explain what Webster PowerUp is?
Yeah, so as you said, it is an electricity aggregation, which is really a group electricity purchasing program that's allowed in Massachusetts. And just to back up for just a minute, it's helpful for folks to know that there are 3 ways to buy electricity in Massachusetts. Not every state has these 3 ways, but Massachusetts does. The first is what's called basic service, and that's when your electric utility, National Grid, buys your electricity for you. But there are 2 other ways that you can buy electricity. One is you can respond to the offers that come in the mail and over the phone. And
or door to door, I get those all the time.
Yeah, right, or door to door. And then the third is if your municipal government uses the bulk purchasing power of the community to negotiate a price, and that's an electricity aggregation, and that's what Webster PowerUp is. And it is an alternative, it's a town-vetted alternative to those offers that are coming door to door and to the National Grid price.
Good. And so what are the reasons that the town would want to do this? I mean, I know why, but if you want to explain.
Sure. So one of the big reasons is price stability. That's a very big one, actually. So National Grid's price, and I should clarify that when I say National Grid's price, we're talking about just the supply services part of your National Grid bill. So your National Grid bill has 2 pieces. There's the delivery charges, and that is where National Grid makes their money, and that's where they maintain the infrastructure and get the electricity to you. We don't have any choice in that. So that part this program doesn't touch, but the supply services charges, that's where you pay for the electricity itself.
Yep.
And so their price, when you have basic service, when they're buying your electricity, that portion of your bill, the rate you pay that's used to calculate it, changes every 6 months for residential customers, every 3 months for large commercial customers. So a program like Webster PowerUp fixes a price for a longer period of time. So Webster signed a 21-month contract that locks in a price, so it's guaranteed not to change for 21 months. So for you guys, it'll be from February 2019 until November of 2020. The price won't change, which means it insulates program participants from the high winter price spikes that typically happen with National Grid. So price stability is a big one. Consumer protections are another one. If you sign a contract with one of these suppliers that contacts you door to door over the phone, you're often locked in for an extended period of time. If you try to get out, you pay a fee. They might use your name for marketing purposes or sell your name on to someone else. So there's consumer protections for this program. You can get out anytime with no fee or penalty, and they can't sell your name on. And then the third reason is the potential for savings. So because you're using the bulk purchasing power of the community, you can often get a price that is better on average than National Grid's price. Now we can't guarantee those savings because, as I said, the National Grid price changes as we go into the future. We only know what the current price is, but when the program launches in February, it will be significantly lower than National Grid's winter rate.
Right, so actually maybe you can explain how this will affect everyone's bills.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it's just going to impact the supply services part of the bill, and on that part of the bill, you're just going to see 2 changes. You're going to see the rate change from National Grid's winter rate, which is up above 13 cents a kilowatt hour, to the program price, which is the default price. There's 2 offerings in the program, so the default, the one everyone's going to get automatically switched to, is, and I'll just make sure I get it right, it's 10.982 cents a kilowatt hour, so it's more than 2 cents per kilowatt hour cheaper compared to the winter rate. for National Grid. So you'll see that change, and then you'll see, instead of a basic service, you will see First Point Power listed on the bill. This is only for people that are being automatically enrolled. If you have a supply contract already, you won't be automatically enrolled, but you can join if you want. But those are the only two changes that you'll see on your bill.
So you only get one bill, it's still from National Grid, you don't have to worry about anything like that?
It's a very common concern people have is, are they going to suddenly not be a National Grid customer?
Yep.
They're used to working with National Grid, and you're still a National Grid customer. As I mentioned before, National Grid delivers your electricity. In Massachusetts, utilities are really fundamentally electricity delivery companies nowadays. They're no longer generation companies, and they're given geographic monopolies. So if you live in Webster, you will always be a National Grid customer for your electric utility. You have no choice in that. So yes, you remain a National Grid customer, and they remain your primary relationship for electricity. So they'll still do all your billing. The program just gets integrated into the bill.
So if your power goes out, it's still National Grid, everything like that stays exactly the same?
Absolutely, yes, everything like that stays the same.
Good. So there's a couple of options with this PowerUp program. So we have the basic option and then kind of a green, sustainable option. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. So yes, if you do nothing and you have National Grid's basic service, you'll get automatically enrolled into what's called PowerUp Standard, which is the default program offering, and that's that 10.982 cents a kilowatt hour price. And that is effectively the same electricity mix that National Grid is providing you right now. So what that means is there's a state law that requires a certain minimum amount of renewable energy in everybody's electricity, no matter what. So National Grid buys that. And then the rest of the electricity comes from what's called the system mix, which is a mix of more traditional fuel sources, primarily gas in New England. Then if you want to take a bigger step towards sustainability, you can make your electricity greener, which means it would be purchased from renewable energy projects instead of from these more traditional projects. So the PowerUp Green option lets you do that. The price is still cheaper than National Grid's winter price.
Yeah, quite a bit. It looks like over 2 cents, almost 4.
Yeah, so the price is 11.348 cents if you want the full decimal. But yes, it's significantly cheaper than National Grid's winter price, which is, as I said, up over 13. And the PowerUp Green option will include the minimum required by the state, plus an additional 20% from New England-based renewable energy projects. And then the rest of it will come from what are called national wind projects, meaning wind projects from outside New England.
Okay.
And then to get that, you just have to call the electricity supplier and ask for it.
Okay. So you're automatically enrolled in the basic, but if you want to be more sustainable, you can call up and they'll change that for you, and you'll still have a savings compared to your basic rate.
Yes.
Yep. Good. So how long, you mentioned this before, the program is 21 months, so it goes through, we start in February and it goes through November of
2020.
2020.
Yes, 2020.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's math. Yes. Yep,
I know, I had to think about it for a minute too.
Yeah.
It's a nice chunk of time when your price isn't going to change. And
Good.
so that makes the program different from a lot of these offers you get in the mail. So we always like to tell people, wait, don't sign those offers. Take a look at this program first, because a lot of times those offers are going to give you a really competitive price, but maybe only for 3 months. And then after that, the price is going to rise or it's going to vary. And it typically goes up much, much higher, whereas this price is fixed. It's not going to change.
And just so you know, I did a little research, and if I had lived in Webster and I was looking at different options I could purchase online, and I didn't find any that were as favorable as what this PowerUp program would offer.
Yeah, you guys you locked in a really good price.
It is a good one.
Yeah.
Let's see. So can you just explain how the participation works? So everyone's automatically enrolled, but there's options to opt out?
Yes, and actually I might even back up and say, if you are going to be automatically enrolled, for starters, that's the state law, so it wasn't something Webster had a choice in. If you roll out a program like this, Massachusetts requires it to be automatic enrollment. And if you are going to be automatically enrolled, it's because you have National Grid's basic service. If you signed a contract with one of these other offers, you won't be. Your contract is honored. If you're going to be automatically enrolled, you're going to get a letter in the mail that's going to tell you that. So you're going to know it's you.
Mm-hmm.
And that letter's going in the mail tomorrow.
Great.
If you're watching this down the road.
So around Christmas, you should be getting it in the mail. Yep.
Yes, if you're watching this down the road, this is just before Christmas. Yeah, so the letter's going to go out, and you will get a letter, and it will come from the town. It will have the town seal on the return address. The return address can confuse people a little bit, so I like to mention it. It's kind of a hybrid. It'll have the town seal, and then it'll have the name First Point Power as the address that's up there. And that's because the return mail has to go to them. The letter itself has your name on the bottom as the man in charge. And
so hopefully I get a lot of phone calls.
Yeah. Yes. So if you're going to be automatically enrolled, you're going to get a letter. The letter's going to tell you you're going to be automatically enrolled. It's going to tell you that you have these two options. It will give you the current National Grid basic service price. You can compare it all. If you do nothing, you will be, and you get this letter, you will be automatically enrolled in the PowerUp standard option with your February 2019 meter read, and you would see the price and proof of that enrollment show up on your March bill. And at that point, you will have been in the program already 1 month.
Okay.
So if you don't want to participate, though, should I talk about that too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Yep.
so if you don't want to participate, you don't have to. You have the right to opt out at any time with no penalty or fee, and that includes opting out before you're enrolled. So if you want to opt out before you're enrolled, and this information will be in the letter, you just need to opt out by January 25th. And there will be 3 ways for you to opt out. There will be a reply card that comes with the letter. You just sign it, put it in the envelope, put it in the mail. You can call First Point Power and just tell them over the phone you want to opt out, or you can go to the program website, websterpowerup.com, and there's a form there, so you don't even have to talk to anybody.
Right. Well, we know people don't like talking anymore. So.
I know. What's a phone call?
Yes. So I'm going to ask a couple of specific questions that people might have concerns about. So one of them, if you are currently on a low-income discount rate, how does that affect this bill?
The good news is not at all. If you are eligible for low-income discount, you continue to receive that, and here's why. It helps sometimes if people understand how that works. So the low-income discount is a rate that National Grid negotiates with the state, and they apply it to the total bill. And remember, National Grid's still putting your bill together. So First Point Power is going to tell them how much to charge for the electricity you use, and then National Grid will put that together with their delivery charges, and then on top of that, they'll put the low-income discount. So it's completely unaffected by your participation in the program.
Okay, well, that's good news. Another one, if you have solar panels on your house already, is this going to affect your bill, or how will that work?
Actually, it's not going to change at all, and it sometimes works out. So the good news is if you get net metering credits from your solar panels, they're going to continue to be calculated on National Grid's basic service rate, same as they are now. What that means is if you are underproducing, say, and you have to buy electricity from the grid and you're in the program, when you buy it, you'll pay the lower program price.
Yep.
But if you overproduce and you get credits on your bill, they're credited at the higher National Grid winter rate.
Wow, so that works out very well.
It does, yes,
panel.
yep.
Okay, so when they enroll this, implement it, there's not going to be any changes, interruptions in services, no like have to cut off electricity for an hour or so, nothing like that. Is that correct?
Correct. It's really important for people to know. I'm glad you asked that. There's no interruption in service for this. This is a completely seamless thing that happens. You just see the change on your bill, and there's no danger of this company suddenly not being able to provide enough electricity and your power suddenly going out because you participate in this program. You should know that there is an independent organization that's tasked with managing the electricity grid. Their job is to make sure the lights always come on when you flip the switch. If some company decides down the road that they cannot provide enough electricity, whatever electricity they committed to, this independent grid operator will make sure it still flows. They have tons of contingency plans. They have generation plants waiting online just to turn on and start generating electricity if they need to. So if there's ever any problems, your electricity will still flow.
Yeah, great. So we talked about how to participate. Well, a question that came to my mind is if you have already signed a contract with someone else, yeah, I'm assuming you're bound by those contract, and if you broke it, you'd have to pay some penalty with them. But is that more or less correct?
Yeah, it is. And actually, we do get calls from people who discover that the town has this program, and they say, "Can I join? And what's going to happen to me?" So unfortunately, we can't tell you what the terms of your contract are. If you signed a contract, you are bound by those terms. And so what we recommend is if you want to join this program, the first thing you should do is find out what your terms are.
Yep.
If you don't know what they are, call that company and ask them. And the questions to ask is, are you in a contract that has a minimum participation period, which would mean that if you tried to get out too soon, they'd charge you a fee, like $50 or $100. If you are, and you think it would be more cost effective to just wait out that contract, say you have another 6 months on the contract.
Yep.
You can do that. And then you could call and enter this program.
Okay.
You would still get the program price. You really just want to check that so you're not surprised by anything before you make that phone call.
Okay, great. And let's say there's some people that are a little bit nervous about joining at the beginning, and so they opt out. Is there the ability to opt in the future?
Yes, technically. So you can opt in the future, and to do that, you would just want to call First Point Power. However, they have the right to charge a market price instead of the program price if you opt out and then opt back in. And the reason for that is it's expensive for them if they have the risk of people opting out and opting in.
Yep.
And risk always means money, price. So they put this provision in the agreement to reduce the people switching, and it also opens the door for them to be able to offer a more competitive price, which they did.
Right, great. And speaking of the pricing, it is a very competitive price, almost 3 cents less than National Grid's current winter rate. But those aren't guaranteed, right? Can you explain to everyone about that?
Yes, and so this goes back to what I was saying before. It's incredibly complicated. So I'll explain it again, which is that when you have National Grid's basic service, which means National Grid's buying your electricity, their price changes every 6 months. They have a winter price, which runs from November through the end of April, which is the period we're in now. That's typically their high price period. And then from May to October, it's typically a lower price period. But we don't know what the future prices are. We just know that they typically go up and down. It may be even in the future they stop going up and down. We don't know, but this is what the past has been. So the only thing we know for sure is that the program is definitely providing savings at launch, and they are significant. But past the current National Grid price period into the next one, which starts in May, we don't know. And it is typical for these programs for the program price to be lower than the winter price, but sometimes a little higher than the summer price. And so participation is really about taking a little bit of a longer view. And the goal is for the program not to beat National Grid's price every 6 months, but rather to beat the average of those changing prices.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and I've actually participated before, and we saw that exact thing. And overall, we save a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I think we're about covered all of our questions. Anything you can think of that we should add?
Let me just think. So you're not going to get, as we talked about, you're only going to get the one bill. You're not going to get a second bill. Let me just see if I have any other things on this that I want to mention. If you have the budget plan, so that remains in place. And so I think National Grid, I think they just call it budget plan. So this is when instead of your bill varying every month with the amount you use, they just kind of average it out and they charge you a fixed price every month.
Yeah.
So if you participate in this program, that's still the same.
Okay.
That won't change. And then some people want to know if they're going to get worse service.
Yeah, is National Grid going to be upset because they're getting less money?
Yeah. So they're going to put an asterisk next to my name and say, well, I know your lights are off, but you're just going to have to wait because you're in that Webster program. So no. National Grid makes their money on the delivery charge portion of your bill. That supply charge portion, when you're on basic service, is actually a straight pass-through. They go out to the market, they buy electricity, they charge you what they pay for it. So they don't care if they're buying it for you or if you're buying it somewhere else. It doesn't matter to them.
Great. Good. Well, if that's all the questions, if you can't think of anything else.
Nope, I think that's it. Just WebsterPowerUp.com.
Yep.
And if you have any questions or you're intimidated by calling an electricity supplier, there's a customer support phone number on the website. It'll also be in the letter. And we have these brochures now that the town can make available. They're on there too. There's a phone number right on the front. That goes to my office. And so we are more than happy to talk with anybody, answer any kind of question. If you don't know where to start with us.
Great, thank you. And any phone calls I get, I'll be sure to give them your phone number.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. But, we thank you all for listening, and we thank Marlena for making out here and explaining the program to us, so appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
And we hope you all enjoy the program, and we wish you all a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you.